everybody. It's our first barn banter in 2 months, so it's like 35 degrees up here in the old barn. It's a bit it's a bit toasty for the middle of the day, but we're taking this thing off and we're gonna do it no matter what. Oh, let me fix some crap here. There we go. Let's go. Let's go. Anyway, as everybody may or may not know, we took a couple months off over summer from the little IG live / YouTube video podcast / Spotify. Hey Daniel, how you doing, buddy? But we're gonna bring it back. We're gonna try and do it a couple of times a month at least. Already got some great people lined up, so yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. And what are we talking about today? We ruffled some feathers with KCS on, I think it was Tuesday night. He asked me to come on and talk about pricing with no like there was no script. He just asked me how I do it, and so I talked about how I do it, which always gets me in trouble. It's interesting. Way back 3 or 4 years ago, I was in a discussion and somebody asked me how what I use on gas lines, and I say I dope and then I tape them. And if you see a dope or tape video, or taped and dope video, it's my fault. I literally started that crap because that's how I do it. I've done it that way for 35 years. My grandpa showed me how to do it. My dad showed me how to do it. I dope every fitting and then tape them. Not every one, but most of them. And then, of course, we went on to jetting with hot water. That's how I do it up here, because we deal mostly with grease challenges and not necessarily roots, like lots of people in the southern states do. So, and then I can't remember what the next one was. Anyway, doesn't matter. Oh yeah, union and non-union. In fact, I think Turbo started that one. But clearly, I am a non-union guy, mostly because the union doesn't exist up here in any sort of relevant sense. Don't even know who. It's not like Ontario or Quebec or the Eastern Seaboard or maybe even California. I'm not sure about California, but the union presence here in Alberta is next to nil. I couldn't even tell you a union shop up here. I'm sure there are some, but I wouldn't know exactly what they are. Oh, there's Michael Sukaris. You back from Greece yet, my man? Greetings. Are you still on vacation? Are you back selling venting again, or are you still taking your 6-week vacation? Anyway. Oh, he is back. Good. Get to work, man. In fact, I got a couple of emails from your boys. Wasn't Matthew? I forget now. It's been so busy with it's just been a crazy busy summer, which is what I wanted to talk about today on this episode of Barn Banter. Is this real? Shark bites rule. Listen, there's an absolute place for shark bites. They work fantastic. I use them all the time when it comes to CPVC and transferring to copper pipe in our commercial applications. For whatever reason, several of our clients built their buildings with CPVC. It's absolute garbage. I don't care what anybody says. Maybe our water quality, it may be the way we treat our water in the city with chlorine, I'm not sure. But it makes that pipe so brittle that it's almost unmanageable. And so when we have leaks or cracks, we attach to CPVC with SharkBite and transfer it to copper with the SharkBite fitting, and then we press everything else. That's how we do it. And I will say, absolutely, I do not recommend this, but I have pressed CPVC. And if you look at the specs of CPVC and the pressures that pressing creates, CPVC can absolutely handle that force. I've never left one in. It's always been in an emergency basis where I couldn't find in the city a 2-inch coupling, SharkBite coupling. No one had one, but I had a 2-inch press coupling or ball valve or whatever. So I have pressed those, waited for those couplings to come in, and then replaced it. So it does work. And I will, obviously I'm a owner operator, so I'm the one that's taking the risk. I'm the one that's taking the risk with my insurance. So I get to make those decisions. If you work for somebody, you should not make that decision without clearly and getting express permission, probably written permission to do that. Anyway, we talked on Tuesday. Oh, I've seen the PEX ones. Yeah. I won't lie to you. Shark bites. Everybody craps on them, like a lot. But the only place I've ever seen one fail, in all truth, is if they're frozen, which any copper press, Victolic, any fitting you make. Hey, what's up, Jay? Any fitting you put on, nothing can withstand ice. It's just a fact of the matter. So I certainly wouldn't recommend shark bites as a general rule, but you should know where and when to use them so that you can be of service to your customers. That's just how that goes. If you're not using shark bites because I don't know, you think it's a bad product, then you don't understand what that product is. It's like I said before, it certainly has its place. It's a well-made product. In fact, I know there's several other manufacturers. I won't say the names because I don't think I could say it accurately, but there are several other push-to-fit fittings out there. In fact, for years and years and years, as anybody that's done home plumbing, John Guest fittings have been out forever. We use those all the time when it comes to, and you still do, when it comes to reverse osmosis systems or carbon filters or, any of that crap. John Guest fittings are everywhere. So push-to-fit isn't a new thing. SharkBite certainly has expanded its applications, and just like I said, I'm not gonna. Yo, what's up, big man? How's it going? How's Philly? I'm not gonna, labor that topic like crazy because it's not what we're here to chat about. GG is owned by SharkBite, and they are great. Oh. Is that in? Because John Guest has been around since I can remember. So is that a recent acquisition or sort of one in the last decade or so? Maybe must be. I did not know that. There you go. John Guest is owned by SharkBite, and they are great. And you can get John Guest fittings up to 1 inch. If you didn't know that, I know that. Okay, we're going to talk about billing. I had a bunch of questions that I got written down here. We'll try and get to all of them. Yeah, it has been a while. I'm sure it has. Hello, Flush. How are you? You know what? I'm sorry. Everybody calls me Baker because it's Baker Plumbing, and that's my name. I'm just going to go with with your Instagram name. Unless I've met you in person, then I know your name. That's kind of how that works. So we were going to talk about the difference between flat rate and time and material. And I'll try and watch the comments because it's just me on here today, and answer any questions that you've got. And I will say it right out loud. Having done everything I'm saying, I have done. So it's not like my opinion, I'm not offering an opinion on something that I've never experienced. So time or flat rate pricing, I have done. I did it for 4 or 5 years. I did it before it was digital. I bought the software. I went through the whole program, set up all my, what my price points wanted to be, and spent a fortune on getting them printed and bound. I had the coil binders, and they were an inch thick for everything that we would do. Paid the money for it, paid a lot of money for it, and had to update them as you do every 6 months because prices change. And so we would have every truck and every tech would have their price book, and they would walk into a residential home and say, this is, what we want to do, and this is what you want us to do, and this is what's going to cost. And so I know for a fact that flat rate pricing and the model of flat rate pricing is over 6 months. Like you have to nowadays, would have to update your pricing you have to update it every week. I get a 7 days exactly. We put that in for all of our stuff. This code is good for 7 days. Because I get a price update every week now for copper or brass or plastic or anything. Everything's going up. So when I did my flat rate pricing, it was probably 2003 through 2008. But it's absolutely set up, I don't know how else to say this, to gouge your customer. Because it has to take in not all of the worst case scenarios, but most of the worst case scenarios so that you can make money, right? Like you want to change a wax seal, it's $385 or whatever your number is. And so the problem with the flat rate model is that people are selling you that. So there are companies out there, lots of them now. In fact, I went to, it was called Success Group International. And they were a flat rate company. I don't know what they're called now. They might still be around. It was in Las Vegas at a big conference. It was a big rah session of how much money you're going to make and blah, blah, blah. It was all a scam. You gave those people tens of thousands of dollars to tell you how to run your business. And here's the cookie cutter model. You can, here's a couple of variables that you can mess with, but this is how you need to run your business. You need to have, the blue shirts with the Canadian or American flag, your name. When we went, you were supposed to have actual ID badges, so that you could, you were representing. They could tell who you were. Hey, Victor, how are you? Anyway, my opinion of that is it's a total scam. All price for coffee calculator. Weekend, you got a price book. Yeah. So I'm with you. So my pricing isn't any different than flat rate pricing. Like I'm not, like people make it sound like I'm, if it's $400 to replace a toilet, Baker's at $780. That's just not how it is. And the way we do it is super easy because I know exactly what my truck charge is. That's the very first thing you see on any invoice I sent. Our truck charge is $85. Our next line item is labor, however long we take it to do it. Now, that doesn't mean we don't give estimates. If someone phones me up and says, I need my hot water tank replaced, I'm like, okay, well, that's a 2.5 hour job. Right? X, whatever your hourly rate is. The tank is this much money. Your truck charge is this much money, and we're going to use, a couple of those braided connectors, press them in, we're done. Those things cost $26 each. I'm going to charge them out at $55 each. It's a done deal. I can give that quote over the phone. It's $18.75 to change a hot water tank. Is it a 4-inch? Do you have a 3-inch vent or a 4-inch vent? Oh, it's only a 4-inch vent, or it's only a 3-inch vent. All right, well, it's $275 to upgrade your vent to 4-inch. I can do that because I've been doing this for long enough to know what things cost and how long they should take. So, like I say, truck charge, hours worked, materials used, and then tools. Do I use a price list? No, I don't. So we have an item for shop supplies, and we have an item for hand tools. Now, we don't use that on every single case. Like if I use an extra screw, or we don't charge for that. But if we're hanging a bunch of stuff, then we'll charge our $45 for shop supplies. Depending on, that's the beauty, frankly, of the system that we do, which is customized, is we can make it work any way that we want. And the beautiful thing that my accountant loves, and that I love, is that I can, when somebody says, you spent $4,000 on average a month on gas, which is true. How are you recovering that? I'm like, we charge $85 a month, or $85 per call, for every call. So if we do, I don't have a calculator up here, but for easy math, let's say it's $100, which is, or $50, a $50 truck charge, and you do 5 calls a day, that's $250 that you put in your pocket. That is, again, times 5 again is whatever that is. A week is $1,100, right? Math right on that. We'll just go with $1,000, and then that's $4,000 a month. So I'm covering my gas expenses in my truck charge. If gas goes up like it did, then I may have to raise my truck charge to $90 or $95 or reduce it. When I first started that system back in probably 2009, 2010, my truck charge was $35. It's now $85. My truck charge covers it literally says in the description, arrival or dispatch and arrival of inventory truck to site. That's all it says. It's vehicles, repairs, and maintenance. So at the end of if I'm charging $4,000 a month in truck charges, that's what is that? $48,000 a year in for the whole year, and that covers my gas, new tires, new brakes, oil changes, general maintenance, all that sort of stuff. It's fascinating to me, and I don't mean this to be harsh, but every single one of us, I don't care who you are or where you work, has seen that poster of we protect the health of the nation. You've either reposted it, posted it yourself, liked it, looked at that and said, yes, that's what plumbers do. And yet, I think most of us sell ourselves short because we're too afraid to I don't know, have a confrontation with the customer over pricing, right? The only industries that I know of that do flat rate pricing are restaurants. Like when you order your BLT, it's $13.95. If you go to a hotel room, it's $399 a night, right? That's literally how it works. If you go to your dentist, what do you get? They charge you to check your teeth, to clean your teeth, to do an X-ray. They charge you for the fluoride. Like if you get it, you'll get an itemized bill for every single thing that they use. It's a little bit different up here in Canada when it comes to medical, like a doctor, but you'll see every single thing that you do. Every single thing that doctor does, you get billed for. And you can see it, and you'll see a line item for it. It may be outrageous, but it is what it is. The analogy I used when I was talking to KCS was, you ever seen a lawyer bill? You ever got a bill from a lawyer? That lawyer will charge you for everything. He'll charge you for paper clips. He charges you for photocopying. I made 200 copies of your file at 15 cents a copy. So this is what your bill is, right? Let's see. Do you have? No. Depending on the customer, if we have two guys there, we just charge one truck charge. Yeah. If it's and to be perfectly transparent, if we are at a job working and then we have to return the next day, or we have to come back a couple of days later to fix something else, there's only one truck charge. We try and be fair with our clientele. It's not like every time we show up it's a truck charge. If it's sort of the same job within reason, then there's only one truck charge per visit. The government's charging you for climate change. In fact, you can look at your electrical bill. They don't even call it anything anymore. What do they call it? Z-Rider or Rider X or whatever the hell that is $6. Transmission fee, connection fee, whatever. You look at your cell bill. If you look at your cell phone bill, it'll tell you you get charged per second of what you use. It's not a lump sum unless you don't have if you don't have a very good plan and you're only paying $200 a month. All right, I guess. But if you have, like me, 7 cell phones out there, then I can see who makes what call, when and how and why and all the rest of that stuff. So, I think it's in everybody's best interest to use the time and material model, and then you're not beholden to those companies. I don't want to besmirch anybody, so I won't say their names, but the guys that send you the software for one technician is $900 to $1,200 a month, so that you can have the opportunity to use their software, and which is flat rate pricing. Is all it is, and we'll be here to help you. And I will tell you one. Like I say, we did flat rate pricing with Jonas. I don't even know if they're still around. I think they are. I spent $30,000 on Jonas software so that we could run everything through. It did dispatch, it did scheduling, it did banking, it did invoicing, it did cost analysis of everything. It was the cat's ass. So we bought it, or I bought it, and they came out and spent 2 weeks in our offices training all our staff how to use it. And while they were there, everything worked fine. And the day after they left, it was nothing but technical problem. And frankly, 6 months later, we walked away from it because it was unusable. I do realize that things have, technology-wise, have improved significantly. But still, it's I think it's crazy, but these companies charge. They charge you per tech, per license. They're making money hand over fist, which is why I believe that the flat rate model is being propagated because they make so much money off of it, right? And then we were chatting again on Tuesday, and the one guy said, the best thing about flat rate is I can hide so much in it. That doesn't sound very forthcoming. I can hide all my stuff. So, and I get it. People are like, "Oh, you charge, extra for tools." Again, nobody's given me tools. I would love to be one of those fellas that gets the 200-pound package every month of the latest and greatest plumbing tools, whatever they may be, whatever brand they may be. I am not that guy. I pay for everything. There's been some, fabulous. Ridge's been very kind to me. There's been a few others, but still, the 53 or whatever I have, RP 351, I paid for it. It's a $4,000 tool. Why shouldn't I charge for that? I don't understand the blowback on that. If you think about it for 1 second, if you adopted what I'm telling you to do, or suggesting that you should do, if you added $20 a day to every invoice that you created, you did 5 invoices a day, that's $100 a day, it's $500 a week, that's $2,000 a month, and that's $24,000 a year that I'm putting back in your pocket with $20 extra, which is like beyond easy to do. You should just do it. You should try it. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. And like I say, I can tell you almost to the penny, maybe not to the penny, to the dollar of what I build out drain cleaning, because I have a line item for that. We used the rigid K 5208, and we charge X amount of dollars. Well, we charge an extra $300 to pull that thing off the machine, off the truck, and we used it not 500 times. We used it 150 times. What is the math on that? I don't know. $300 times 100. What's that? $30,000. All plant equipment should be rented to the customer. Well, I don't know necessarily about that, but in the restaurant industry, Ecolab rents all their equipment. Most of the restaurants that you guys walk into, their dishwashers and all the rest of that stuff is not owned by them. It's rented by them. And you're welcome to look up Ecolab on the stock exchange. They are killing it. They make so much money off of that stuff, right? And in fact, that's what companies like Reliance and some of those other big ones, where they want to rent you. Listen, we'll install your furnace for you, or air conditioning for you, and all you have to do is pay $48 a month. You're like, $48 a month? That's fantastic. But you'll never own that equipment. In 5 years, when it should be due, they'll sell you a new one. So you'll be renting that equipment in like forever. Like there's no end to it. And that's how those guys make their money. You imagine if I had 1,000 furnaces out there that I was renting. Once I pay for my equipment costs, which should happen fairly quickly if I have the capital to do it, I'm making $48,000 a month clear off of that equipment and not doing anything to service it. Like it's just a cash cow. So the only The only thing that changes in our hourly rate is the time of day. So between 7 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, we have our 1 hourly rate. After 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock, it's time and a half of that hourly rate, and then after 10 o'clock at night, it's double that. So our rate ranges between, sort of depending on who we obviously give discounts to people that spend. If you spend $100,000 a year with me, then you're getting a discount on your labor. If you're the one-offs will be as high as $150 an hour, and for some of our most lucrative contracts, from my point of view, we'll be sort of in that 105, 110 mark. But those rates and times transfer to all those people. So if you're calling me at 11 o'clock at night, it's basically $300 an hour. Yeah, so that's where I heard that from. I think it was Aaron Bond. We were chatting about that most homeowners rent their equipment. That is not a thing here in Alberta, but they're certainly pushing it. I've seen a bunch of it happen this summer, where these companies were in and saying, listen, you don't have to even come up with any money. We'll give you a brand new system, and you just pay us, initial deposit of $500, and then it's $48 a month for the rest of your life. This makes me want to start a company. Listen, I was talking to a guy today that's going to come into the barn here in a couple of weeks. Making money in the plumbing industry is not the problem these days. It's dealing with vehicles, employees, supply chain issues, the clientele. We talk about it all the time. And I know at least a dozen people personally that started their businesses just before COVID or during COVID. The worst economic disaster of our generation. On the other hand, I know people that it's destroyed their lives. And these guys that started their plumbing companies are killing it. Why are they killing it? Why? Because there's no matter how much, I promote the trade, or anybody else on here, the influencers on here, promote the trade. It is a declining population in the trade world. In 5 years from now, there'll be less plumbers than there are now. And there'll be less tradesmen and women in the trade than there are now. It's just a fact. It is not reproducing itself. And so if you know anything about supply and demand, the demand's going to go up. And what happens when the demand goes up? The price goes up. It's just that's absolutely going to happen. And these guys that have started their businesses, kudos to them. At the same time, is it because they're smarter than anybody else? Is it because they have some innovative software? No, they're, like I've said here before, I've made fun of a few guys that are, nobody's grinding like me. I'm like, dude, no, you're no different. You're not special. If you're running your own business, then you're working your ass off trying to look after your customers. And so, where was I going with that? It's the reason that they're successful. One of the main reasons that they're successful is because the talent pool is so shallow that people need plumbers. And that need isn't going anywhere. I know a couple union guys that left the union during COVID because there wasn't any work. None of the big projects were going because of all the protocols. And so in order to put food on the table. They started their own little mini business. And now they can't keep up because it's so busy. Again, I'm not, disrespecting any of them for doing it. I think it's awesome. But the reason that they're being successful is because there's nobody out there doing it. Oh, the new gen loves monthly payments. They hate once. Yeah, lots of companies are offering. So I get it. I mean, the price of equipment is only going up as well. I remember in Calgary, there's downtown, there's a big, really important intersection that everybody goes through. And I remember when I first started my career, probably back in 98 or 99 or whatever it was, when I saw this billboard, they had a big, huge, it was a hot water tank company, a plumbing company, and that's all they did. It was called Hot Water Tanks to Go, and they had a mechanized billboard with a hot water tank with the feet running. And they were installing hot water tanks for $333.33. Probably some Masonic thing. But it didn't work out. They're out of business. Imagine installing a hot water tank for $333. Right? Now, like I said at the beginning, to install a hot water tank now, it's, somewhere between $1,800 and $2,200 to install a hot water tank. It's gone crazy. And I get that makes me think of another thing when it comes to flat rate. I see them on the billboards or on the bus signs all over the place and on billboards. A couple of the influential companies around here. We'll clean your main line for $149. And if we can't do it for $149, then it's free. There is no possible way that you can make money cleaning main sewers for $149 per pop. Those technicians, and most of them are technicians, not plumbers, and that's a thing here in Canada. In order to work for a plumbing company, technically you're supposed to have your apprentice, or it's called your blue book, which means you're starting your apprenticeship. Those technicians walk into your home, and their job is to upsell you. They may take your $149 to start, but if they do their job well, you can add a zero to that for the new humidifier, new relief valve, a new set of taps that you need, and a toilet tank repair. That's what they're doing. That's the problem. Another problem I have with flat rate is that you come in at this price, and your job is to upsell the customer so crazily that you turn that minimal call into thousands of dollars that client wasn't expecting to pay. And you're fixing stuff that may or may not need to be fixed. That's how it is. 3 young kids I had help me on the sea. And they're all electricians now. I've said it for years. Everybody wants to be a plumber until you have to be a plumber. In fact, we had a guy, one of Isaiah's friends, good guy. He's been a friend of the family for years. He's trying to, find his way a bit, and says, "Hey, I think I want to be a plumber." So great. He helped Isaiah on that commercial restaurant that we project managed. Went super well for a couple of days, and then we had a grease trap that we had to change. And it was a weird one because it was in the ceiling space, and so we had to, rig it up so that we could lower it down with a rope, and we had Isaiah and his buddy underneath it, lowering it. And of course, it's got holes in it, so it's leaking on him and running down the back of his neck. That was the last day we saw him. He never came back. Jakey, I love you, but everybody wants to be a plumber, so you got to be a plumber. That's just how that goes. It's to get them. Yeah, Casey's saying it right there. The reason that they have such low pricing is it's like the lost leader, right? Come in for this wicked price, and as soon as we're in the door, we're going to upsell you. I mean, I know Schneider, there in Philly, he does a lot of those dig ups. They're lucrative jobs. I don't know his numbers, but let's just say it's a $10,000 job. So, hey, my sewer's backing up. Okay, yeah, we'll come check it out for $150. You walk in there, and they're like, some of those companies, they do it here too. They poke a little hole in it, get it flowing, run their camera, and say, "Oh man, you need your whole place replaced. The whole sewer system needs to replace." It's it's a $17,000 job. Is it absolutely necessary? I don't know. Like you say, but let's be fair. There are unscrupulous and dishonest plumbers, just like there's dishonest lawyers, dishonest doctors, dishonest politicians. We can talk about that. Yeah, I agree. There is. If you're a fully licensed plumber, then you're not working on commission. You're just not. And if you are, then you should reevaluate your priorities, because you can do way better. All right, their sales sharks are not plumbers. Oh yeah, no. So you're right. The one that comes to mind from a couple of weeks ago, where a client of mine, his wife, the house was way too hot, so she heard a radio advertisement for one of those big companies, called them up. They came out and told her, you have no refrigerant in your system. You need the whole thing replaced. It's $14,000 to get a new air conditioning system. And it's been so hot here in southern Alberta that she was like, okay, well, I'll talk to my husband and get back to you. Well, she talks to her husband, who knows me, and he sends me a picture, and it's of the coil in the furnace, and it's covered in ice. And he says, yeah, the tech says there's no refrigerant in there. I'm like, well, you can't refrigerate without refrigerant, and that thing looks like it's refrigerated to the max. So there's either something wrong with a component, or you don't have enough refrigerant. You might have a leak, like a tiny leak somewhere. I don't know what it is. Anyway, so we come out and check it out. Of course, there's a little leak in the system. We add some sealant, add a little bit more refrigerant to it. Cost them $600, and working fine, right? So the guy that's, the technician that's telling the customer that there's no refrigerant is asinine. Another one, since it's been, like I say, it's talk about air conditioning for a second, which may or may not be relevant, but one other guy said, the system has R22, that's illegal. You need to change it right now. No, R22 is not illegal. You can't buy it anymore, but that doesn't make it illegal. It doesn't mean the system that has R22 refrigerant is currently illegal and must be replaced. But they freak this poor gal out. So she's like, there's something in my house that's illegal. I must replace it right now. I'm like, no, we actually have some product that is compatible with it. We'll throw that in and get you off to the races. So instead of, again, another $15,000 bill, I charge her $1,500. And she's delighted, happy. Everything's working great. So lots of those big companies are all just about, they come home at the end of the day, or they report to their bosses, and their bosses say, how much did you sell? How much did you sell? If you're not selling, and I don't know this for a fact, but if you're not selling $10,000 worth of equipment a day, you're no good to me, man. Get the hell out. So they think of every possible way to upsell their stuff. Yeah, P.S. the plumber, yeah. I'll take poop over. Listen, grease traps suck. But there's the two things I personally hate more than anything, is grease traps and urinals. But we do them all the time, because there's only two ways to make money in this world. And the two ways is to do something no one can do, or something no one wants to do. And plumbing is both of those in lots of different circumstances. So grease traps and urinals, nobody wants to do. And so we almost write our own ticket. You want this fixed? We'll fix it for this amount of money. and they have to. It's actually been mandated. It has to be mandated all over North America by now. They have to clean their grease traps here in Calgary every month and have a report filled out. And there's, sort of like health inspectors, grease trap inspectors that sort of roam the city to find out who's in compliance and who's not. So, my background is fire. Check that out. The Baker Barn, baby. You know it. I should have charged a cent less, yeah. No. Yeah, same. We do it all. There's just stuff. And it doesn't matter what. My dad used to say, every path has a puddle. So it doesn't matter what you choose to do. There's always going to be something that you hate to do in your chosen career path. And for me, I hate urinals and I hate grease traps. I mostly hate urinals because, I have 1,000 stories of, arguing at a urinal on a Friday night, and some dude comes right here and whips it out and starts taking a whiz, like right by my face. I'm like, dude, I can't see I'm working here. Sorry, bro. You gotta go. So, crazy. All right, a couple of questions that I think we have. I think I talked about cost breakdown. You should absolutely know what your costs are. The first Baker-inspired truck. Do it! Good! Let me know how it goes! I don't think you can go wrong. I don't know where I heard this, but it was in a seminar or some, advanced learning or whatever you want to call it, some extra course that I took, that said that if you aren't getting at least 10 to 20% of your invoicing that goes out, if you send out 20 invoices, you should have at least 2 complaints. Now, not, freakouts, but complaints about pricing or comments on that seems a bit much. If you're not getting 2 or 10%, then you're not high enough. So if you've gone the entire COVID or the last 6 months and nobody's bitched about your pricing, then you're too low. Yeah. I guarantee it. And so I'll tell you, we get a complaint every week from somebody, dude, that's outrageous. I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. Sorry, man. And lots of those are on the estimates that we give. People are like, that's crazy. I'm like, all right, well, good luck checking, phoning around. And almost without fail, those people call me back within a couple of days and say, do you still have time for us to visit? On the side of, running your own business is not for the foolhardy. Out of the customers that pay me on an annual basis $150K or more, every one of those customers over my 20-year career of working with them has come to me and said, dude, we're going with someone else because we found somebody cheaper. And in every single one of those instances, I have resisted the urge to be like, listen, I can fix my pricing, don't worry. I have said with a straight face, good luck with that, let me know how we can help you in the future. I get it, it's business, no hard feelings, let me know how they do. And every single one of those companies, 4 of them, every single one of them have come back to me within a year and said, you know what, dude? They were cheaper, but they weren't better. So if you can stick to your guns, and I'll fully admit, it's nerve-wracking. I'm like, holy crap, what am I doing? I should just lower my price by 10% and, continue to do the work. But I don't want to say the lesson learned. Maybe it's the lesson learned, is that if I stick to my guns, my customers learn the lesson that I'm good at what I do, and I'm worth the price that they pay to have me do what they do. For sure. Let's see here. Oh. What do I tack on for points? So there's what you should, and I won't try and explain it here because I'll mess it up. There are the two M's. There's markup and margin. Markup is crap. Markup is when the builder tells you that you can mark up your materials 10%. You spend $5,000 on fixtures or whatever, and he tells you can make $500. Total bullshit. You're not making anything. You want to make margin. My minimum margin is 35%. So if I sell a $5,000 fixture package, I'm going to make I'll sell it to them for somewhere between, again, my math is whatever, 75 to 8 grand. So I will make $2,500 to $3,000 off of that. So it's not points, it's margin. And you should look that up. What's the difference between margin and markup? It'll change your life. It'll change your life. So that's how you got to do it. What's the best paid advertising? I think that changes per market. But for me, Google has been the way to go. 100%. Google's free. I don't pay for anything for Google. I get my customers. You have to sort of chase down your customers to do reviews. There's lots of automatic software through Google that you can just send them the link and they can write a positive review for you. It takes 3 or 4 months to sort of get that thing on track. But if you have a good website and you put some effort into Google, if you have, I think it's called Google My Business. If you sort of take the tutorials on that and do some of your self-learning and figure out how that works, you can make a ton of money on that. Or not a ton of money, sorry. You'll get a lot of exposure. I currently get about 3,500 to 4,000 unique visits to my website through Google every month. So that keeps us busy. We get lots of new stuff. Do I adjust that for long-term customers? Do I adjust what? We do adjust. We have different hourly rates for long-term customers. Like I say, our hourly rate ranges from about 105 to 155, depending on who you are and how long we work for you and how much money. It's not even how long you work for me. How much money you spend with me is sort of how I break it down. CIA class, thanks for joining in, man. So the 35 is hard and fast. I don't change it for no one. I can't, because then I'm not making any money. That's the minimum. So if there's a job I don't particularly like, or someone I don't want to work for, or whatever the case may be, it'll go up to 50. And some of those jobs we still get, but no, 35 is the bottom line for me. There's no sense doing a job if you're not going to make money at it. Like plumbing, I love what I do. I love it. I love the people I work with. I love the fact that I've crafted the business so that my sons work with me now. It's been a hard-fought battle to make all that stuff happen, for sure. But it's plumbing. It's hard work, and sometimes it's freaking just gross. So there's no sense doing that stuff, in my mind, if you're not going to make money at it. Why would you do it? Why would anybody do this job if you weren't profitable? So That's my 35% rule. Yes, I can post this. Yeah, it'll be on YouTube and Spotify in the next day or so. If you follow me on IG, which most of you do here, I'll put it up in the story when it's live on YouTube and IG. What else? The best ads, I guess. Same. Google. I don't know why you would go with anybody else. Google has made it so easy and so user friendly from where it came from, 20 years ago, that it's just, there's lots of courses you can take. And there's, online stuff there's tons of YouTube videos that you can watch to sort of work your way through how to use Google My Business, how to use, that's the program that you want. That's the one that's sanctioned by Google, made by Google. And that's the one that I've used for the last 6 or 7 years now. And it's worked fantastic for me. Fantastic. Anything else? I think I went through everything I went through. Yeah. Oh, vehicles. We can talk about vehicles. When you have more than one guy on the job. Yeah, so we have, that's a good question. So we have in my QuickBooks software and in my app that we use to create our work orders, we have Tech A and Tech B. And so the journeyman is Tech A, and he's charged out at the highest rate. And then Tech B is charged out at $85 an hour. And it usually doesn't, like if it's a complex job where both people working on there need, if it's me and Isaiah, we're both journeymen, then it'll be, $135 each. But if it's, one guy doing the technical work and the other guy sort of, cleaning up and handing tools and stuff like that, then we do have a second rate at $85 an hour for their for their work. So yeah, it's not straight across the board, which is, again, like I say, we've had lots and lots and lots of feedback that people love the way that we do our invoicing. They just do, because it's very clear what they're paying for. There isn't any gouging going on. It is what it is. We try and, if we do an estimate, we try and honor that as best we can. But every one of those things is like, every estimate I give out is, this is how much time we're going to spend on this job. And usually we fall on that 90% of the time, but 10% of the time we fall outside of that. Right? Like, I mean, you may or may not remember one of the times I did this stupid Barn Banter, and we had that burst pipe in a hotel that they had poured concrete around it. There's no way you could flat rate that. There's no way. I was there for 3 hours trying to jackhammer concrete out of a wooden joist base. So that gets billed out per hour of what I'm doing. So I honestly, I'm trying to help you guys out. You don't have to take my advice, but you're leaving money on the table if you're doing flat rate. And if you're so covered by your flat rate, right, like it's so generous in your favor, then you're leaving jobs on the table because you're not getting all the jobs that you want. That's just how that goes. There was one question on here that just for one story, I was talking to a guy about funeral homes. I have one funeral home story. A sample invoice. Oh, jeez. I should start charging for this stuff. I can probably send you a sample invoice if you want. Like I said, I don't know how else to say it. There's 4 line items. Truck charge at the top. Number of hours worked. With the description of the work done. The materials used. And any tools that have been used after. That's it. So if I use a jackhammer and a press gun and a whatever, combustion analysis, since those are sort of some high ticket items, that will have a jackhammer is if I pull out the jackhammer, it's $300. If I pull out a press tool, it's $250. If I do the combustion analysis, it's $475. So whatever that math is, it's basically $900. It's $1,000 in tools, which people are like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Is it crazy? Is it? You really think it's crazy that you spent of your own money thousands of dollars on these tools? Like you buy yourself a Hilke jackhammer, it's $3,000. You buy yourself a press tool, it's $4,000. You buy yourself a decent combustion analysis kit, it's $3,000. So you've invested of your own money, $12,000 in tools, and you're just going to rip them off your truck and use them, no problem at all. I think that's asinine. I do. And that's coming from a place where I did flat rate, trying to incorporate that cost of tools and gas and insurance, into a big flat rate number and hope at the end of the day I make money at it. And the problem with flat rate is you don't really know until the end of the month, because you don't get to see your costs of everything and where you're making money and where you're losing money. Doing the itemized, just to repeat, we're coming up on an hour here, so we're going to cut it here in about 10 or 15 minutes. So if you guys got any questions, ask them now, because we got about 10 minutes left, and then I'm going to cut this. But I can tell you exactly what I build out and what it costs me. I can show you all my new tool purchases and what I build up against that tool. And so my accountant loves it, because she's like, oh, well, you bought this many tools and you made this much money off of them, which is good it tells me that I'm making money, right? Yes, I charge for basic hand tools. It's $35. How much money is in your basic hand tool bag? If you bought yourself, which I have, a Vito bag, $300. Buy yourself some Knipex. They're $85 each. Some Wera, those aren't cheap. Weehaw, keep going. All that stuff costs you money. So in my, Vito tool bag, I probably have $4,000 worth of tools. Legitimately, so do you. Why wouldn't you charge for that? Right? Like if you have a Stanley screwdriver and a Craftsman pair of pliers, then maybe you shouldn't be charging for that. But if you have specialized tools, like I have so most of you guys probably, I have a Knipex, smooth jaw that can go up to 3 inches, so that I can, open up flushometers. That thing's $100. Why shouldn't I charge $35 to use it? Nobody can answer me that, other than the only answer I ever get back from that is, oh, that seems excessive. Okay. Like you say, if you're truly protecting the health of the nation, if you are truly a professional tradesman or woman, then you should charge for it. I don't see there's anything wrong with that. You can charge whatever you want. Yeah, like you say, you got to be reasonable. Like you can't decide tomorrow. I can't decide tomorrow that my hourly rate's $400. In that, if my truck charge is $250, and if I pull out a screwdriver, it's $85. Like that's not going to go anywhere, right? You got to have. Like I say, if you gave me your flat rate pricing and I gave you my itemized pricing, we're not off by much. Like maybe 10%, maybe. But the difference for me is I can account for it. My customers know exactly what they're paying for, and there isn't. I'm not hiding anything to try and sneak it in. Oh, don't! I had to charge you this, but you don't know about it. Like, it's sooner or later, that's going to come out, right? What percentage do you work in for potential? I don't make mistakes. You can't do that. So we guarantee our labor for 90 days. That's it. And particularly in the commercial world, that's excessive because if you can fix a urinal in the next night, there could be a basketball game that somebody loses $1,000 and wrecks the urinal again. So if there's something that we've done that's negligent or inappropriate for whatever reason, then we're happy to cover that. And we're honest with, there's been a few times I'm like, yeah, man, that's totally my bad. That shouldn't have happened, and it's covered. So, but the beauty of me being able to say that is because of everything that we just talked about. I'm making money everywhere else. I can walk in and cover some warranty stuff or some mistakes without batting an eye. I can show up at a little old lady's house and say, this one's on the house, ma'am, don't worry about it. Because, I don't need to make, my $18 or my $180 or whatever the number is on every job, or I'm going to go bankrupt. Right? That's how it works. Anything else? Oh, where can you get some hats? So yeah, we have. I should do that. We have a ton of hats and hoodies and shirts that I'm trying to get. I haven't found the time to put it on the store. Baker swag. It's everywhere. We've sent out thousands of pieces of Baker swag all over the world. So we'll try and resurrect that here this fall. And yeah, it's becoming a little bit more expensive to do that stuff. So we'll probably add a couple of dineros to get that shipped out to you. But let me know, DM me, and we'll find a way to get you some Baker swag, and you can rep us wherever you are. All right, just a couple minutes left, peeps. Anything else? Do you have? Yeah. So our minimum, it's a weird number. It's like $322.75 or something like that with GST. That's the goods and services tax up here in Canada. We don't have a provincial sales tax, just a federal sales tax, which is the GST. So in order to ring the doorbell, it's $325, basically. $322.75 or 79 or something like that. Which again, we set up because we don't necessarily like doing residential, so we don't really cater to that. There's a few companies in town here that cater exclusively to the residential market, and they do stuff like $50 for 15 minutes, which we've worked it out. It's basically the same. You know what I mean? Like if you're in, I don't know. Those guys are in there, like they're the sales sharks, like you say. They show up and find 10 other things that need to be fixed and spend 2 hours in your house and end up charging you $2,500 to fix a bunch of stupid stuff that you weren't prepared to fix and that you didn't call them in to fix. And so we are just like, this is what it costs. That gets you an hour and a half of our time. It gets you a licensed plumber, and we can fix anything you got, unless it's something weird, like you've got some weird Coleman furnace that we need the venter or the exhaust vent for that I don't have on the truck. We have most of what we need on the truck, or in the barn, or somewhere close by. So yeah, that's how we run it. And the girls in the office say whatever their verbiage is, like what I just said. 322 will get you this, and this, plus any parts that we need. Because you never, when someone says my tap's leaking or my toilet's plugged, What does that mean? Is it just a toilet? Is it a main line? You got to pull the toilet and rip out a deodorant stick? Are you breaking the toilet? You know what I mean? Like, you have no idea what you're walking into on most of that stuff. So that's how we run it, and it works. It works well. People that want us want us. People that are, it gets rid of the tire kickers, which I don't have time for. I don't know who has time for those guys. Just to, they show up and we'll let you know. So you showed up for $85 or $50 or whatever. And in today's world, that doesn't cover your guy or your vehicle. And they're like, yeah, no, we'll get back to you and we'll let you know. Which means they're not getting back to you at all, right? Anything else? Anything else? I think I covered all my notes that I wanted to talk about. We didn't talk about journey persons or journeymen or journey women. It should be journeymen or journey women as far as I'm concerned. What's a journey person? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. I think if you guys and girls follow those steps to this master class, you will make nothing but more money, and you can thank me for it. And I don't need you to thank me. I'm sort of at the point in my career where I am delighted to share some of the experiences that I've had. If I can help the next generation be as successful or more successful than me, then I think that's great. Yes, there's only two genders. Sorry. No, there's not. There are only two sexes. But gender is a made-up term. You're welcome to Google that and find out where that came from. Gender is an arbitrary construct that helps people with mental challenges feel better about themselves. There are only two sexes. That will probably get me banned, and I'll have to start this account all over again, like I did back in whenever that was. What was that? January? Yeah. I made some ageism comments about myself and got my 10,000 follower account nuked. Thanks, Instagram. You're awesome. But the truth is, it gave me the initiative to start this and engage a little bit more succinctly with the followers. I think it was great. It was for the best. You sort of look at that number and think, you get some satisfaction out of it, which is stupid, but because it's just a stupid number. But truthfully, I've had far more engagement with this account than I did on the other one, and I hope to continue. So, don't feel sorry. Don't feel sorry for me. I am the master and constructor of all my own successes and problems. So, if you've watched anything about the ranch life, my farm life, I live a fantastically wonderful life that's all because I decided to follow in my father's footsteps and become a plumber. It's a marvelous profession. It's worthy of your time. It's worthy of your investment. It's worthy of you doing the hard things to become a skilled and knowledgeable and experienced tradesman, man or woman. 100%. And with that, I don't think there's any other questions. I think I've answered them all. Have an excellent, it's Labor Day tomorrow. Get out there with the families. Get out there with your family or the people that you love and spend some time with them. Don't answer the phone. Wait till Tuesday. That's all I got to say. Thanks very much. Check it out. If you want to follow us on YouTube, Baker Plumbing on YouTube, check it out. We upload lots of stuff there. And of course, if you want to check out the old Spotify. Follow Barn Banter with Baker there. This will be up on there tonight, and then it takes me a little bit while to edit to get it onto YouTube tomorrow or the next day, whatever. Thanks everybody. Have an excellent day. I appreciate all the questions. DM me anytime. I'm happy to help out and answer what I can and share with what I know. And if I don't know, I'll tell you. I won't BS you. Anyway, that's it. Thanks very much. Peace.